News can now confirm the gunman accused of shooting two state lawmakers and their spouses has been arrested. 57-year-old Vance Bolter is accused of assassinating Democratic Minnesota State Representative Melissa Horton and her husband and severely injuring State Senator John Hortman and his wife. Hortman and his wife underwent surgery, and the lawmakers' homes were less than 10 miles apart. Investigators say early yesterday morning, Bolter, dressed like a police officer, came out of Hortman's home and fired at police before escaping. We're also learning police found a list of 70 names, including other lawmakers and abortion providers in Bolter's car. That car also allegedly looked like a police car. Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz is calling the shooting a, quote, act of targeted violence. And President Trump is promising persecution to the fullest extent of the law. The FBI was offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to Bolter's arrest. Joining us now on the phone is former D.C. police detective and defense attorney, as well as a Fox News contributor, Ted Williams. Ted, we're just getting this information in the last 5 minutes or so. I want your take on what we're learning.
Well, what so far from what we know here, and this is all fluid at this time, but that there was a location where they found the automobile and they found what they believe was Bolter's cowboy hat, the cowboy hat that in many of the pictures that he was seen wearing. And as a result of that, law enforcement made a concentration on that part of Minnesota. And it is my understanding, and from what we've been told, there have here been an arrest. I'm somewhat surprised because I thought that with all that we know about Bolter, and we know quite a bit now about him, that he very much was going to resist and probably go out with suicide by cop. But apparently that did not materialize. All indications are that he's under arrest.
Thanks so much for joining me here at the show. We got a great show for you today. We got a lot to discuss. Big news, obviously, is Vance Luther Belter, the Minnesota alleged assassin, has been arrested in Minnesota. What I want to talk about is not necessarily his arrest, although that is interesting in and of itself, but it is the fact that nothing in this story adds up. Nothing makes sense. This thing stinks like bad fish. This thing stinks to look at another Minnesota icon, that of grumpy old men. This stinks like anchovies in the back seat of a car. If anybody's ever seen that movie, that's what this smells like. And I want to walk through a whole bunch of facts. I don't have a lot of answers. I do, as Tucker Carlson said, have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions because nothing in this thing adds up. So we're going to dive into that, but I really appreciate everybody rolling up. So let's dive right in. The first thing I want to get into, obviously you saw that story. You saw the fact that he has been now, you've got two very duplicitous pieces of information. So when they found his fake police car, it was filled with No Kings protest flyers. We also know that he was appointed by Waltz, that his wife was a Waltz intern. But now we're hearing from the news things like, oh, well, his manifesto, which we have not seen, we've only seen typed copies of it, which is in and of itself suspicious because I don't believe that's the manifesto at all. They said they weren't going to release it. Then they released these ultra sanitized copies that have all sorts of Democrat lawmakers. Oh, and Planned Parenthood clinics, pregnancy termination clinics. Oh, he's an extreme right-winger. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So let's start off with Viva Free, our Canadian friend, who's talking about this very story. And as he says, hey, a Trump supporter kills a Democrat, the sole Democrat to vote with Republicans to revoke health care for illegal aliens, appointed by Tim Waltz, whose wife interned for Tim Waltz in 2010. So what you've got is you've got two obvious Democrat operatives. And when I say operatives, I mean they are entrenched in the Democrat system. They're friends with Tim Waltz. She interned for Tim Waltz. He was appointed by Tim Waltz. The Democrat Speaker of the House that he shot had just recently voted with the Republicans. She was the tie-breaking vote in denying health care to illegals. something that Vance Luther Belter is very much involved in with his Congo-based nonprofit, which seeks to basically recruit and bring African nationals to the state of Minnesota, whether legally or illegally. It doesn't really matter. But he wants them all, obviously, to get benefits. It's in his best interest. He received small business SBA money for that. It is also believed he received USAID money for that little nonprofit NGO. So do not believe this ultra nonsense narrative that he was a MAGA Trump supporter. We've got pictures of him with the resist T-shirt, and she's got and his friends have Democrat campaign slogan T-shirts. The man was not a right-wing extremist. He was not a MAGA Republican. Now, so first there was the initial media-driven narrative that it was 2 Democrat lawmakers were shot, and it was a MAGA Republican. This stinks very much like the whole, MAGA country, Chicago goofball, the actor. Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, the one who was on Empire, who basically claimed that, the 2 MAGA Republicans, said this is MAGA country, and they beat him up over his Subway sandwich at 2:00 in the morning. So none of this rings true, right? He is not all the evidence that we have, except for except for a high school friend of his, when realized that he's 25 years, 30 years outside of high school. He's got a wife and 5 kids, and you're interviewing high school friends. Oh, he was a MAGA Republican. Nonsense, absolute nonsense. But now let's get to the part where this story really starts to break down. This story makes no sense. All right. And so, Democrat criminal syndicate, absolutely agree. All right, so here we go. So we know that we've got some Ring camera footage that shows the actual shooter, whether that's Vance Luther Belton or not, at the front door wearing the fake cop uniform, wearing the acrylic, the neoprene Breaking Bad mask. I am the one who knocks. That was the character. And so you see this guy. Now, supposedly, this is the story. He goes and he actually, I believe he first shoots the Democrat state senator. And so the police get wind of that. And lo and behold, the police say, out of the blue, let's go check the Speaker of the House's residence. Okay, wait a minute. This makes no sense. Why would you immediately go check the Speaker of the House's residence? If a state senator had just been shot and you were thinking, oh my gosh, maybe other people are targeted, you would have gone to other state senators. You wouldn't have gone to, well, let's go to the Speaker of the House. That's like saying, hey, a state senator was just shot. Well, let's go check the Department of Transportation. Okay, yeah, it's still in the legislature, but why would you go there? And just lo and behold, you happen to interrupt the killer as he is in the house. Now, this is where the story. So that's the first aspect. The police just suddenly decide to go there. Okay, even if I grant them that, all right, somebody had an intuition, a hunch. They took off. They go to the Speaker of the House's residence, and there the shooter is in the act. They confront him coming out of the house, and supposedly these police officers unload 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots. He comes out of the house in his flake police uniform. He opens fire. The police return fire. 10 shots. Somehow they hit the door, but they do not hit the perpetrator, who somehow gets back through the door. He has enough wherewithal to take a couple of shots and get back in the door before they can open fire. And all they manage to do is hit the door. Meanwhile, he escapes out the back of the house on foot, not on a car, no vehicle, on foot. And nobody can catch the guy? I'm telling you that a car cannot outrun a radio, much less so an upper-aged man, decidedly 100 pounds overweight, with a limp on foot. He's not evading anybody. Those 2 cops, if there was only 2 of them, they could have chased him down. If there was more than 2, why were they not covering the back door? Where were the drones? All you have to do is call a radio and say, suspect fleeing on foot. You're going to find him. He can't run that fast. It makes no sense. Now, so to back up that narrative, let's check out our perpetrator, alleged perpetrator, on video later on that day. After he managed to evade police officers in the middle of the night, he runs somewhere, ostensibly home, but not to his actual home, I guess to his alternate rural home, which is 20 miles away. Anyway, whatever, he's managed to change clothes now. He's no longer in his fake cop uniform. He's now in Western garb with a 3/4 length jacket and a cowboy hat. And he's just going to, I don't know, he walks with a limp. And then you see him come out of here and he's going to randomly vandalize a vehicle. He breaks the window. He gets in the vehicle. He steals some stuff. Does he take the vehicle? No, doesn't do that. And then flees on foot again. And somehow they still can't find this man. Now, so here's where it gets even more interesting, right? Somehow he manages to lose his hat, his cowboy hat, which they find by the side of the road. Does this smack at all of 9/11 when airplanes with tens of thousands of gallons of jet fuel fly into the World Trade Center, vaporizing that fuel, vaporizing the airplanes, so hot that it actually melted the concrete superstructure around the elevators, causing the building to fall, supposedly. Yet there were intact passports that fluttered down from the sky to land in the street so that we knew who the terrorists were. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. So I don't buy the whole hat story either. He just happens to drop it by the side of the road. Now, let's take a look at this picture. This is not the best picture, but you see the guy, the alleged, the one in the fake police uniform, and then you see actual Vance Luther Belter, 100 pounds overweight. You can't see him walking with a limp. It's a look at the same guy. Yes, he's got an acrylic mask on. I'm talking build. This guy looks way thinner. Now, I could be wrong. I could be absolutely way off base. But again, nothing in this makes any sense whatsoever. Not the story of the police going to the speaker's house. Not the story of the police confronting him, opening fire with 10 shots and hitting nothing but a door. Not them not chasing him out the back of the house. Not them not calling on a radio and getting other units to chase him. Hey, get in your car and chase him in the car. There's no way this guy should have evaded for that long. And I'm not believing now that it doesn't make sense to me that he's the actual shooter. This doesn't make sense. Now, he might be. But what this smacks of is that they had this thing all set up for a false flag operation to blame MAGA Republicans. And potentially the one true piece of the story is the police confronting him at the second location. They were not part of the plan. Somebody had a hunch. They showed up and there he was. Now, within all that fog of war, I don't know what happened, but now they have to cover for their false flag operation gone wrong because now they've got an actual shooter. They can't pin it on just anybody. The other thing that makes no sense in this story is that without any evidence that we know of, suddenly the AP is the one that designated him a suspect. They said they claimed they got that from the police. What in that vehicle, in that fake police car, led them to believe that it was Vance Luther Belter? Did he sign his manifesto? I don't know. But anyway, the last piece that makes this make absolutely no sense is now that they have arrested him, he is charged with, get a load of this, second-degree murder. Okay, for anybody who doesn't understand, second-degree murder is, you come home and, your wife is in bed with somebody else and you fly into a fit of rage and shoot that person. That is second-degree murder. It's not planned. It's not premeditated. It was a crime of passion, right? This is not that. This is, I got a fake police uniform. I got an acrylic mask. I got a fake police car. I wrote a manifesto. I actually went and shot two of the people on my manifesto. How is that not first degree premeditated murder? This is something that makes absolutely no sense. It is incongruous. It doesn't fit the rest of the facts. I don't know what narrative they are trying to spin. We're going to keep watching the story because I think this is absolutely full of crap. This whole thing makes absolutely no sense. So we're going to keep following this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Really appreciate hearing from you.